Hey, what's up, guys? Smith here. Welcome back to another episode of the Forex Analysis Breakdown series. In this installment, we're going to be taking a look at British Pound, Japanese Yen. Now, the purpose of this video series is so that you guys can see how I perform my technical analysis and hopefully go away and implement some of my analysis techniques into your own trading styles and into your own analysis approach. So, the first pair that we're going to be taking a look at in today's episode is British Pound, Japanese Yen. So as you can see, we are on the 4-hour chart, and there's a very clear strong uptrend that has been playing out over the last few months. Now immediately I'm going to highlight a ascending support that has formed for you guys, so that we can have this as a rule of thumb and reference point to look back at when we go down onto the 1-hour chart and also the 15-minute chart, just so we can see how price action is developing over the last few weeks instead of the last few months. So straight away, as I said, we've got this ascending support here. That is normally a very bullish sign. So if we now hop onto the 1-hour chart, there's not really too much else that I need to highlight on the 4-hour chart. You can see now, if I rescale my chart a little bit just by zooming out with the scroll wheel and then rescaling the chart with the right axis by clicking and dragging, which is something that I recommend all of you guys do when you're changing time frames, which is obviously something that needs to be done to get the full picture for any analysis that you guys are doing. So the indicators that I've got on today are the RSI at the bottom, which is just an indication of whether price action is overbought or oversold. So if I enlarge the RSI for you guys and zoom in a little bit, you can see the current white line is hovering around the 70 mark. Now this is very close to overbought. Anything over 70 or over 80 is what we call overbought, which is quite self-explanatory. That means that momentum is currently on the buying side. So this is normally when we actually look for a sell. Adversely, when it's down below sort of 30 and in the 20 region, that's oversold, and this is where we're looking for a buy. So let me put that RSI back down so we can see the chart more clearly. The other indicators that I've got on, which I always use, are the 50 exponential moving average and the 250 exponential moving average. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more just on the current market price. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is draw my Fibonacci retracement, which is a very useful tool for highlighting key support and resistance areas within a range high and a range low that you're analyzing. So the range high that we have here is 144,600 roughly. So I'm going to click that and then drag all the way back down to the range low, which is roughly at 149.30 for GBP JPY. So as you can see, there's quite a few lines here, and as you can see from this little wick here, it is respecting that 0.382, which is actually the most important fib level for me in particular that I find is the 0.382, which kind of represents a median for the range high and the range low. So I'm going to go into the settings of this fib, and I'm going to actually take off a few of these levels because it's quite cluttered and some of them aren't as important as others. So the 0.5 I'm going to take off, followed by the 0.2 and also the 0.6, which is here. So now that I've got that off, you can see we're just left with the 1, 0.7, 0.3 and 0, which are just the key support and resistance levels for this fib that I'm keen on using. So now that we've got our ascending support highlighted, we've got our fib levels highlighted, now it's time to zoom in a little bit more and analyze what chart pattern we have in play here. So we've got a very nice ascending wedge that has formed here on the hourly chart, which I'm going to highlight for you guys now. So we've only got 2 points of contact on the rising support here. And on the overhead resistance, we appear to have the typical 3 points of contact, which is staple for what I'm looking for chart patterns. And that third point of contact has only really just happened within the last few hours in today's market on market price. So we've got 2 points of contact on this rising support, 3 points of contact on the overhead resistance. So that's a clear indication to me that we need to come back down and test that support, which is effectively what I'm looking for here. So a rejection of the overhead resistance here, where my cursor is, and back down for a support test for the third test of the ascending support here. So I'm going to go over to the rectangle tool. As always, I'm going to highlight the resistance points for you guys so it's very clear. We're going to highlight them in a yellow color as the resistance. Let me do the third one for you guys here, which again just happened recently. And now we're going to do that for support as well. So just going to duplicate that again. But for support, we're going to change it from a yellow to a green, just so it contrasts. It's very clear for us. That's the first point. And then the second point down here. So if we zoom in a tiny bit more, now that we've got the ascending wedge pattern highlighted for you guys, now I expect price action to pull back within the wedge, and I expect there to be a third point of contact, which roughly will be around here. Now, when we do reach that level, which is about a 70 or 60 pip drop from the current market price, I do expect there to be a bounce and continuation of this uptrend that has formed. Remember, on the 4-hour chart, there is a very nice bullish uptrend that is playing out. So my bias here that I'm going to go for is obviously bullish and a continuation of this uptrend within the wedge. So we want price action to pull back to this green box and then continue upwards within the wedge and create a higher high on the hourly chart. Now, if price action does actually break down and doesn't continue this uptrend within the wedge, that is a very nice short opportunity. One of my favored trading styles is actually shorting breaks of clear uptrends. So if we do see a break through this green box here that takes us back down, again, that's another big drop of 80 plus to even close to 100 pips there that we can bank on that short if price action comes back and retests this ascending support here, which is very likely. So now the last analysis point that we have to do is hop onto the 15-minute chart. As you can see, we can see price action over the last few days instead of weeks or months. It's always good to analyze starting from the 4-hour back to the 1 hour and then down to the 15-minute chart. And as you can see, you know, we are rejecting that overhead resistance point. So we are in a short in Platinum Trading Group at the moment, and our stop loss is just above this resistance point here. So we know that if price action doesn't reject, it breaks upwards, then obviously our short is no longer valid. The chart pattern is also no longer valid, so we're not looking to take that short any further. That's how you manage risk, effectively putting your stop loss above the chart pattern and letting price action play out. So on the 15-minute chart, there's not too much we can analyze here. However, there is an uptrend that splits the chart pattern pretty much in half there from the range low to the range high on the 15-minute chart. We have again another ascending support. We know that once price action breaks through this, that our short is well and truly underway and will result in price action potentially coming back to this green box here, which will bank us a healthy 70 pip short. So just to recap on GBP JPY for you guys, we are currently in a short position looking for a rejection of this overhead resistance here down to the support line and then a continuation of the trend and uptrend. However, if there is a break to the downside, that is a very clear short opportunity. So that's a wrap for GBP JPY. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on Instagram or in the Telegram. Thanks guys.